Trump afraid to make a World Series bet. Carney jokes at Blue Jays practice. Jo, Canada Bulletin Fam. So the Toronto Blue Jays are heading to the World Series. Ticket prices are making people consider selling a kidney. And Prime Minister Mark Carney just publicly roasted Donald Trump for being too scared to make a friendly wager. Oh, and Doug Ford's watching from his man cave, because even the Premier of Ontario can't afford these tickets. If that doesn't scream peak Canada, I don't know what does. Buckle up, because this story has more plot twists than a season finale. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Canada Bulletin, your go-to source for Canadian news, served with extra sass and zero boring filters. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, because we're about to dive into the most hilariously Canadian sports drama of the year. We've got international shade-throwing, political ticket scandals, and two world leaders who apparently need couples therapy over a baseball bet. Let's break this down. All right, so picture this. Prime Minister Mark Carney shows up at the Blue Jays practice at the Rogers Centre on Thursday, cameras everywhere, reporters ready. And when asked about making a friendly World Series wager with U.S. President Donald Trump, Carney just casually drops this absolute gem. I think he's afraid to make a bet. He doesn't like to lose. Chef's kiss. Asterisk, that's some A-tier diplomatic shade right there, folks. Carney literally said Trump hasn't returned his call about the bet. Can you imagine? The Prime Minister of Canada is getting ghosted like a bad Tinder match. He hasn't called. He hasn't returned my call yet on the bet, so I'm ready, Carney said. We're ready to make a bet with the U.S. Now, for those keeping score at home, this is the international equivalent of calling someone out in the group chat. Carney basically went on national television and said, yeah, we tried to set this up, but apparently Trump's scared. That's not just throwing shade. That's constructing an entire shade empire. And honestly, it's kind of hilarious. Here we have two world leaders dealing with trade agreements, international relations, and economic policies. But the real tension? Whether or not Trump's going to bet on baseball. This is the content we signed up for. The Blue Jays are taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Carney's confidence is through the roof. He even predicted they'd win in 6 games, alongside Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who made the same prediction. So either they're both brilliant sports analysts, or they coordinated their answers like kids presenting a group project. Either way, we respect the unity. But wait, there's more. Because while Carney's out here challenging presidents to bets, there's a slightly bigger problem brewing back home. And it involves your wallet, my wallet, and basically anyone who wanted to actually attend this World Series. Let's talk about these ticket prices, shall we? Because exorbitant doesn't even begin to cover it. Doug Ford literally said he's watching from his man cave because he doesn't want to pay the ridiculous prices. The Premier of Ontario can't justify these ticket costs. Let that sink in. When elected officials are like, yeah, I'll just stream this from home. Thanks. You know something's broken. Get this. The cheapest resale tickets on Ticketmaster for Friday's game were going for $1,105. For general admission. That's not even a seat. That's just permission to stand somewhere in the building. If you actually want a seat, that'll be $1,457. Please and thank you. To put this in perspective, for that price you could fly to a different city, see a regular season game, grab dinner, stay overnight in a decent hotel, and still have money left over for a foam finger. But nope. Instead, you get to stand in Toronto for 3 hours watching baseball like you're at the world's most expensive standing desk. And Ford is big mad about it. By the way, those ticket gougers, they're going to pay the price, he announced. We're going to get to them, but I'm going to sit in the man cave and watch the game. Ooh, strong words from the man cave, Doug. Although, fun fact, Ford's government in 2019 actually scrapped a law that would have capped ticket resale prices at 50% above face value. So this is like setting your house on fire and then complaining it's too hot. The leopard's eating face's energy is strong here. Ticketmaster, naturally, came out with a statement basically saying, don't look at us. They're like, we don't set these prices, especially not the resale ones. Which is technically true, but also feels like that Shaggy song. It wasn't me. Sure, Ticketmaster. Sure. The opposition parties are having an absolute field day with this. NDP leader Marit Stiles said she was happy Ford might reverse his terrible decision, while Liberal parliamentary leader John Fraser pointed out that, hey, maybe they shouldn't have scrapped that protection in the first place. Fraser dropped this reality check. The tickets are already out, so it's pretty hard to put that genie back in the bottle. But the genie would have been in the bottle if the Premier hadn't canceled a law that we passed. So now Carney's planning to find a man cave in Asia to watch the games. Apparently, man cave is now official Canadian political terminology for anywhere I can watch sports while pretending to work. First Ford, now Carney. At this rate, every government building in Canada is going to need a designated man cave with the 2026 budget. Can you imagine the scene? The Prime Minister of Canada, somewhere in Asia, probably in his hotel room at 3 a.m. local time, stress eating room service while watching the Blue Jays. That's dedication, folks. And he's still confident. It's going to be a great series, but we've got depth, we've got fire. Carney's out here sounding like he's the team's hype man. Someone get this man a foam finger and a jersey. Meanwhile, neither Carney nor Ford has plans to attend in person. Though to be fair, when tickets cost more than a used car, can you really blame them? Ford's got his man cave excuse, and Carney's got his international summit. Convenient timing or brilliant excuse? You decide. All right, so we've covered the bet drama, the ticket chaos, and the man cave movement. Let's wrap this up with what it all actually means for regular Canadians. Here's what's actually going on beneath all the jokes and political theater. Canadians are getting priced out of experiencing major sporting events in their own country. The Blue Jays making the World Series should be a national celebration moment. This is huge, but instead, it's become a conversation about who can afford to actually be there. When fans are complaining that resale prices hit the stratosphere within hours of tickets going on sale, something's fundamentally broken in the system. Ford scrapped that 50% cap rule in 2019, arguing it would be unenforceable. But as Fraser pointed out, just because something's hard to enforce doesn't mean you shouldn't try. It's like